Today I fucked up by laughing when my mom wanted me to use my autism card to turn down a military recruiter. My mom is in the military. I've seen her go from seeing her happy to a consistent level of annoyed every day. Seeing how she now has a permanent injury thanks to a doctor ignoring her no trainee specifications made me not want to join, and she knows this and encourages me not to join under no circumstances. Thanks to her military benefits I will go to college almost fully paid. Lately she's been encouraging me to go to college, so I basically picked one community college that was close and one culinary college that was in another date by accident. At some point a military recruiter called my mom asking for me, and she said something to the effect of, "I don't think he wants to do that, but I won't speak for him." She then called me over and I was caught off guard, so I'm stammering over my words. No matter what I say he's trying to get me to go. I say I have bad vision. Hey man. Me too. I'm more interested in culinary. We have kitchens in here. I don't have a lot of stamina. Don't worry, we can train for that. My mom whispered to say that I had asthma. Like a dumbass I didn't get the hint and didn't lie. So my mom whispered in my ear to say, "Tell them about your autism." This shit broke me and I started trying laughing silently. Somehow we got this dude to hang up and he said, "I'll call you in a few months." My mom asked me why I didn't tell them about her being my reason not to join or my autism, which in turn would have disqualified me from being picked. I apologized and said I was caught off guard and overwhelmed. Pulling the autism card never occurred to me since I don't use it. A long lecture about growing up and how I'm almost a man later, and here we are. She said she won't always be able to help me. Too long did not read. Military recruiters called my mom to get me to enlist, but was so persistent that my mom wanted me to pull my autism card to disqualify me from being picked. I was so shocked I started laughing and ended up aggravating my mom. Why wouldn't you just say, "No," and hang up? Here's what you say when he calls next. "No, don't call me again. What's the foo?" In the future, it may be useful for you to learn to shut down a conversation you have no interest in. "Thank you, I am not interested," is a complete sentence and a final answer. My usual follow-up is usually, "I have already told you once, politely, that I am not interested in this. Please do not make me told you once more, less politely." Slightly off topic, but I had recruiters come to my school, talk to us the whole class, and ask us to fill out a recruitment form under the guise of it being a survey on how they did. This information survey asked us about our 18th birthday, phone number, and address along with other stuff. Tears of joy. The only things you should say to a military recruiter trying to convince you to join are "No," and what part of "no" was unclear to you? Today I fucked up by telling my partner I was pregnant. I, 21 female, have been in a relationship with my very beautiful lovely girlfriend, 20 female, for 4.5 years, and I love her dearly. Thing we've agreed on since the beginning was neither of us, adamantly, wanted kids. For storytelling purposes, she's trans and hasn't had GRS. I have PCOS, and can often go months without bleeding. Currently, I have gone almost 6 months without a single period. Insane, right? We don't really do penetrative sex, so pregnancy isn't really something I'm too worried about, but my doctors are very useless, and every time I've asked for some kind of treatment to help with PCOS symptoms, they've basically just told me to do a pregnancy test if I'm not bleeding, even though I tell them there's not chance of it. What doesn't help as well is I'm extremely paranoid and prone to nightmares about so if I go a few months without a bleed, I do a pregnancy test partly to satisfy my paranoia, and partly so if I go back to the doctor for help, I can have a, "See, I did the dumb test and I'm not pregnant." Anyway, I used a different brand than normal this time around, and to my absolute horror, a strong, blue line appeared. I was horrified, shaking, crying. I felt like my whole world ended and I wanted to just vomit. I had so many "how could this have happened" thoughts, and was imagining the horror on everyone's faces when I told them, my parents, my peers who don't even know my girlfriend is trans, so they'd have questions, and more imminently, how do I tell my partner? It was 1 a.m., and I spammed her with messages telling her to call me ASAP. She very sleepily calls me and asks what's wrong, and I shakily tell her I'm pregnant. We're both bolt awake and panicking, wondering how in the hell this happened. I'm inconsolable. And then I check the picture again. There's 2 boxes. Test very clearly indicated that a line in both the big box and the small box means pregnancy. One line in the little box is just the control zone. There wasn't even a hint of a line on the larger box. I was not even a little pregnant. Thea. Cue my poor girlfriend having to comfort me for the next half an hour as I slowly stopped shaking, and many embarrassed apologies from me about fucking up this hard. Lol. This is still a better problem to have than a baby. Thea. Lol. Edit. I said in paragraph 1 that she is trans. Next person who comments, "Her der, how do you get preg if both girls is getting put in timeout?" Too long did not read. I incorrectly told my girlfriend I was pregnant because I can't fucking read. Whoops. The good. It will be a funny story later. The bad. Having the stress of dealing with that, even if it was for a short period of time. The ugly. Women's healthcare in general. I feel for you having to struggle and deal with dismissive doctors and people who either don't understand, or don't seem to care at all, even though that's literally their job. It doesn't make any of it easier. I'm glad your partner understood and it ended up being a nothing burger eventually. Perhaps the silver lining is that you're now a little mentally prepared for dealing with at least some conversations in the future with family and friends. Wow, that is a fuck up. Look on the bright side. In a few years, this will be a story you laugh about. Check out endometriosis for doctors in your area willing to do a hysterectomy or tubal ligation. I literally went to the one closest to me, 2-hour drive, for my first apt and I was approved for a hysterectomy based on my symptoms after asking 3 other doctors and complaining of pain and excessive bleeding. You almost gave me a heart attack reading your title, and 21, F, plus 20, F, made me think something horrific happened to you. I'm so glad it was just a misread test. The real FU here is that you haven't yet learned you should beat down doors looking for a better doctor to help you with PCOS. No blame to you, but educate yourself and advocate for yourself loudly, often, and get second referrals, or you'll be like me and many other women who are stuck for years, decades trying to get treatment for a common as dirt disorder like this. Fibroids, or endometriosis. Seriously, F every doctor who diminishes or dismisses women's medical issues. Oh, I absolutely feel that. My boyfriend, 32, and I, 38, struggle with this all the time. PCOS is AB, and I'm on hormone meds plus an internal birth control. I've had to take pregnancy tests constantly because of how effed up period is. I've seriously done this. He's an Uber driver, and I called him in a panic while he had a passenger to let him know I was pregnant. And then realized. I don't know how to fucking read. So I absolutely get that. Today I fucked up by getting high and eating an entire rotisserie chicken. To cut to the chase, I'm a massive stoner and a friend of mine had paid me in a freshly rolled joint for driving them to work after their car broke down, so I was pretty excited to try their stuff. I got nice and comfy on the couch and lit up. It was certainly different than what I usually get. Hit me like a semi-truck and had to put it out after a few hits. A few minutes in and I'm realizing I'm way higher than I thought I would be, but it's okay, I don't have any responsibilities in the morning and I can just play games until I sleep it off. A few hours and some decimated chip bags later and my gremlin ass is still hungry, so I check my fridge to see what's up. I see it a small, whole rotisserie chicken that I bought earlier to shred up for meal prep stuff, and in that moment some ancient lizard part of my brain activates. That chicken looks pretty damn good. So I pull it out of the fridge. My initial plan was to reheat it in my air fryer, but it didn't fit, it's a small air fryer, so I thought, okay, if I just break it up and reheat it in pieces that should work. So I start breaking it apart, with my hands, but as I'm doing so the lizard brain turns on again. Just go for it. And Jaime couldn't stop lizard brain. So there I was, standing shirtless in my kitchen and eating cold rotisserie chicken with my bare hands like a feral animal. And then the second actor in this story come in, my cat. She's a gremlin and the spawn of Satan, but I love her dearly. Now if anyone owns cats, or pets in general I guess, then you know no matter how much you feed and take care of them, if you're eating food they deem tasty they'll stop at nothing to get to it. So I'm in my lizard, zooted to the moon brain eating an entire rotisserie chicken by hand when my cat sprints out of nowhere, leaps onto the counter, grabs part of a wing I had torn off, and sprints away. I immediately try and run after her. But I'm higher than the International Space Station right now and putting one foot in front of the other is serving to be a bit of a challenge. So I'm chasing her around my apartment telling her, no, you get back here, give me that, etc. while also crashing and banging into every wall, corner and piece of furniture imaginable. At some point I trip and slam my face to the ground. Eventually I catch her, pull the wing out of her mouth and take a moment to breathe. And now we begin Act 3, the police. They knock on my door and immediately I'm wondering if something is going on outside or if they're here for any other reason than what just happened. I am high as shit and just answer the door. I'm sure what the police weren't expecting was a shirtless man, with his mouth covered in chicken grease like a toddler eating spaghetti, holding a very sad cat. They ask me if everything's alright in here and I respond so eloquently with, yeah, everything's good, my cat just ate my chicken. They chuckle a bit and explain that apparently while I was chasing my cat around my apartment, what my neighbors heard was a lot of banging and screaming, what seemed to be a domestic dispute. So they called the police. I assured them I live alone with my cat and she's fine and they tell me to keep it down and have a good night. Thought I'd share this story with the world since my friends all thought it was hilarious. Too long did not read. I got high, ate a rotisserie chicken, my cat snatched some up and in my chase to get it out of her mouth, My neighbors thought I was getting beaten and called the cops. Edit. First, thanks for everyone who got a good laugh out of my story. To clarify a few things for y'all, 1. It wasn't, technically, today, but last night into this morning. 2. As someone pointed out, there's a contradiction in me saying I'm a massive stoner but got blazed off half a joint. I explained this in the reply that I was on a several-month break that lowered my tolerance, and wrote, massive, stoner as just a little hyperbole. On average I smoked about 2-3 times a week. The mental image of Op standing in the doorway scruffing a pouting cat chowing on a chicken wing is priceless. Lol, you should thank your neighbors for watching out for you. Many wouldn't do the same. Priceless cat moment. Absolutely excellent way to start my day, thanks so much, equals. Might want to reassure the neighbors that it was just you and your cat having a disagreement. Police don't always follow up, in my experience. Next time make sure you buy a second chicken for the car. Gremlin dad, gremlin cat. I need to physically move my cat out of the kitchen and lock the door when I'm shredding chicken now, she's a fiend for it. I once got the cops called because my husky was hollering like a scream queen in a 1985 horror flick. Guess the neighbors thought I was murdering a lady or something, tears of joy. Nah, my husky was just throwing an epic tantrum cause he was getting a bath. He also ran by the officer in the living room, screamed and continued running all the way upstairs. The cops laughed their asses off and were wheezing trying to catch their breath.